Okay, and we're live here with SampleServe Masterclass Wednesdays. Thank you for joining us. I am Joshua Paul, Marketing Director, Product Manager of SampleServe, and I also have Russell Schindler here. He's founder and CEO of SampleServe. He's been in the environmental services industry for 35 years. We don't have Paul Goodrow here. Paul is officially retired, or I should say maybe just tired.
Yeah.
So he's going to be, he might show up as a special guest every once in a while.
Yep.
And so today it's just me and Russell, excuse me. And what we like to go over here on Wednesdays is we like to give out tips and tricks on the SampleServe app. We like to bring on other experts. We like to also bring on other users. And we also like to tell success stories. And today we have a special one. And if you have any questions or comments, make sure you throw them in the chat even after this is over. We'll get to it. These links remain live even after this is over. So if you know somebody that this would be helpful to, give this link a share to them. And today we have a special one about SampleServe, Sample ENV, the SampleServe's environmental application versus Form Builder apps, because we've been noticing a lot of environmental firms saying that they do have digital tools. And when we ask what they have, they usually respond, well, we have a Form Builder app that we use in the field, which is technically a digital tool. Although we like to think that that's just only covers about 10% of the entire process when you're going out in the field and setting up projects, taking samples, and making reports. So we'd like to cover the difference between what SampleServe can do versus a regular typical Form Builder app that you'd find somewhere on the web. Now, the biggest difference, I'd say, in my opinion, Russell, you probably agree with this, is that SampleServe specializes in creating customized, tailored processes and improvements to our app when customers ask for this. And we recently did this with a partner of ours, Antia Group, for a big job that they have in Texas. Russell, if you could talk about that.
Yeah, so Texas has a unique program where they do all their municipal drinking water sampling, kind of mandated by the state, and Antia's got a contract to do that. They bid it out periodically, and Antia's been the successful bidder on that project. And we started working with them and to develop a digital process for that specific use case for the municipal drinking water sampling. And the state has a lot of unique requirements, special forms they need filled out, things they need done in the field that are, not typical to the average environmental project, like if you're working at a corner gas station or something. So they needed these special features and functionality built into the app, and we did that, right? So we've built that out. We've worked with them to make sure it's a exactly the way they need it, and the state of Texas needs it, and so we were able to make those things happen. So
can you give me any examples of a specific special feature that they asked for that we implemented?
So they wanted, probably the most complicated one was they have this report that they need printed out to leave with the municipal water system. It's got to be signed by the manager of the water system that they leave. So they needed the ability to actually print to a portable printer. And this is like an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and from a mobile device. So they were using desktop computers out in the field and doing all this stuff. And it wasn't as conducive to mobile technology. So we incorporated the ability to connect to a Bluetooth portable, paper printer in the field, and they can actually sign and enter all the stuff on the mobile device, and it'll print out that report for them right in the field. And we keep a digital record of that. We got all the information digitally, but they also can leave that paper copy at the facility.
Right. It's a great example of there's a lot of firms out there dealing in very specific formats with very specific problems that they need solved. And a lot of these problems are going to be solved by an off-the-shelf application that they're going to go and find online. So what SampleServe likes to do is, we like to listen to your problems first and foremost, figure out what you're dealing with and the situations that you're encountering in the field and in the office. And then we can supply any kind of digital solution for you, custom tailored.
Yeah. So, 90% or maybe not 90, 85% of what they needed for this project, this program for Texas was already built into our app. They just needed that last little bit to be customized. And there's a couple other features as well. They'd lean to that last little bit of customization, and we were able to, build that into the app. And so that customization is there. The nice thing is also that other states or other programs are working with a company actually out of France to do something very similar for them. They've got a unique use case where that same type of functionality that we were doing for Texas is also probably going to be very beneficial, different, a little more customization, but very similar use case, and it'll be functional for them as well.
Right. Yeah. And I'd like to see if you'd call up your form builder app to see if they were willing to, create a special use case that's only for this one situation. I doubt they would be willing to do that.
Yeah.
More for the masses. And let's move on to planning projects. So we have the SampleServe PM tool, project management tool, which is free to use for anybody. Anybody can go in, sign up, and start planning projects, planning sampling events. At no cost. You can upload all your historical data. You can even start making graphs and maps out of that historical data. And you can invite all your staff to it. All of this is free of charge. And one of the biggest differences between SampleServe's project management tool and a form builder is the fact that it can connect to your lab. Now, we've set up a process where a laboratory can go in, create their own account. In that account, they can upload all their analytical data, all their tests, in a library where their clients can connect to, and then they can select from those test libraries when they're setting up and planning events.
If I could jump in.
Go ahead, Russ. Yeah, anytime, man.
The real difference is SampleServe is, in the industry, when I say industry, software industry, they call it a multi-tenant platform. And what that means is it's a platform that connects all kinds of different user types. Every type has a different use case. So, for instance, a person in the field has a different use case than a person at the laboratory, right? So they're doing different jobs, but they need to be able to communicate. The project manager has a different use case than the field technician does. And so, I keep this other side here. I keep this diagram up behind me to kind of show the four different user types that are the main users of our software.
Yeah, let me go back to that diagram right here.
Yeah. And so each person has a different use case, but they're all connected. And each little, use case has its own unique functionality specific to that particular user type. And so that's really the difference. You get a form builder. The form builder is going to be great for collecting data in the field. And we have that capability built into ours, but that's just a small piece of the total project management capabilities and reporting and field data collection as well. So the key is we're a multi-tenant platform designed to kind of service all the users related to that particular project.
Yeah. And the nice thing is, we have forms just like any other form builder with the same capabilities. The difference is that when you collect data in our forms, it'll automatically be connected to our reporting capabilities as well.
Correct.
So it's going to be able to feed directly back into that. So if you need a certain, data point that you're collecting in the field, it'll connect automatically to our reports as well.
It'll populate to that sample location, and it may be related to, the groundwater elevation you need that for. So it just kind of keeps all the data at the, connected to where you might need it later. So
right. And then in the field, I like to say it's a field app built by field techs, because Russell, you've been in the field for most of your career. You've been out taking samples. And I know that the reason you started SampleServe is because every time you were on the field, you were thinking, wouldn't this be great if we could just, do this on an iPad? Yeah. And one of the biggest things that, a lot of form builders, you can be in the field, you can be offline just like you can with our app. But if you are connected while you're collecting data in the field, that will be updated real time to the project manager back in the office. Explain how that works.
So, if you have data connectivity, a lot of times when I was out sampling, I don't do a lot of sampling anymore, but I would just turn on the hotspot on my phone and my tablet would be connected to the cloud right away. And So I could be working and I could literally tell exactly when data is being pushed because there's a little connectivity sync icon that we have there. It tells you when the data in the cloud matches the data on your device exactly. And so you can kind of tell that data is getting uploaded all the time. It will work offline as well. That little sync indicator will tell you you've got data on your device that has not been pushed yet to the cloud if you don't have connectivity. But all you got to do is connect to the cloud and it'll sync automatically, or you can force sync it as well. But, the nice thing about it is you can also just go out to a project and start from scratch. You don't have to have everything pre-planned, or you can make some audible calls in the field where, you're supposed to sample this well, but there's a 10-foot pile of snow on top of it and you can't get to it. So the project manager asks you to go sample a different well. Wasn't part of the plan. Well, you can actually just make that audible couple of clicks on your device and you can actually switch locations or add a brand new location if needed. So that's one of the nice things that a lot of, form builders aren't going to have that kind of capability,
Right. Yeah. Because I like to call form builders are what I call data dumb. They know that it's data. They know that it's, either a number or a field text or an option, but they don't know what that means. When you're dealing with a specialized app like SampleServe, you're putting in data in a spot that the app knows exactly what it means, and it knows where it's going to go later on when you're doing reporting or chain of custody or anything like that.
Yep.
So it's going to be automated and it's going to be a lot easier, especially when you're transferring data from one platform to another.
Yeah. And then we have GPS location too. It knows where you're at. This is kind of built into the tablet, right? The knows where you're at with the GPS, and it knows where the sample locations are at. And you can see that kind of graphic there shows the sample locations and different types of sampling that are going to happen between the blue and the orange. And it tells you where you're at, and you can literally find the locations very easily. So that's a big time saver. Some form builders have this type of functionality in there, but ours has been in there for a long time, and it's very simple to use and very nice. So.
Yeah, and the nice thing is if you've never, plotted that area before, you find a sample location, you can collect the GPS on there, and it'll collect all the GPS locations and all the samples that you've done. And then later on, you can generate a map from that and easily be able to start making graphics from that map that you've created.
And one more thing I'll add is if you've got a large project and you got multiple people out in the field kind of all working on the same project, if they are connected to the cloud or they connect periodically, it'll update everybody else out in the field. So you don't have to worry about, well, this one's already been done.
Right.
You'll be able to just look at your device and see which ones are done by somebody else, which ones still need to be done. So that's another nice thing. It kind of helps with the communication in the field.
Right. And then here's two things that form builders we're pretty sure don't have is digital chain of custody and in-field label printing. So, Russell, this is kind of our biggest thing about SampleServe is our patented digital chain of custody. Explain how that works.
So the chain of custody, our labels are unique in that when you print samples in the field, it's one of the nice things, you don't have to worry about putting the wrong label on the wrong thing because it's going to print the labels that you need right at the time of sampling. It's got the right date and time. You can literally go out in the field without even bringing any writing utensils with you. Because it's all digital. That's going to have everything on that, even your signature. You're going to sign your name on the device. And then when you're ready to, so that's the label printing in the field. You can do pre-printed labels as well, I'll add. Some people, don't sample enough to where they don't want to make the investment in a field printer, but they can pre-print labels. But then the nice thing about it is when you're done for the day or you're done with the project, there's a little button at the top of the project. You're going to hit custody, and it's going to take all the samples that you've collected and have yet to transfer custody to and generate this digital chain of custody. You're going to sign your name on the device. We know who it is by a 3-factor authentication on the user. And it's your username and password, right? We know it's you. Everyone knows never give up your password. You're also going to sign your name on the device, so we capture your unique signature at the time of the transfer of custody. And then you're also going to take a selfie. We've got 2 patents on this digital chain of custody process. Other parts of the patent, which we do not include in the app because really the 3-factor is enough for most uses right now.
Mhm.
We can do biometrics as well, retina scan, fingerprint, facial recognition. Again, we don't have those things, but we could build them into the app. It's part of the patent. So those 3 factors on the user, authenticate the user. And then we also collect a date and timestamp and a GPS coordinate. And that's on every sample collected and every transfer of custody. So there's no question about the who, the where, and the when of every sample collected and every transfer of custody.
Right.
And it's the same thing when you receive custody. You're going to go through that same 3-factor authentication.
Yeah, at the laboratory or to the next person that's transferring samples. And I also want to get this out there. A lot of people get, a little scared when they see the field printer and all these, this equipment stuff. You don't need the field printer. You don't need to print the labels in the field. You can print these labels in the office before you head out. You're just going to have to write your signature and the date on there. And it, the app tells you what to write on there. So, it's a low cost option. We do suggest you get the field printer, especially doing high volume sampling, but it's not required.
Yeah.
And then here's another thing that the form builders really stop at that point. Once you collect the data in the field and you transfer it to the lab, that's really it. Form builders don't have a laboratory like dedicated app like SampleServe does. That's why I say it's one of the forgotten aspects of the data chain when it comes to environmental sampling. The nice thing about laboratories that are connected to SampleServe is they can see real-time status updates on their clients' sampling projects. They can see when it's planned, they can see when it's in progress, and they can see when it's on the way to the laboratory. So that helps. And then they can also scan in using the barcodes and the QR codes on our bottles.
Anybody who works at a laboratory will tell you that like trying to find a given sample is difficult because you have to pick up every sample and read the label on the bottle.
Right.
And so that's how they log them in. They got to they got to touch every bottle. Well, with our app, because we put QR codes on the lid of every bottle, they can actually use the camera on the device and just scan them all in, and it'll tell you which ones are there and which ones aren't. So it'll log everything in in just literally a matter of seconds by reading the QR codes. We've got a lot of video that shows that process in action. So
I didn't write this on here, but this is also free to use for every single laboratory. Any laboratory can go in and create an account. And
everything we've talked about so far is actually free. And it's not just free trial, it's free forever.
Yeah. And in the coming months, I'd say, look out, because there's going to be a branded version of this and the sampling apps and the project management tool for a small laboratory you might have heard of called Eurofins.
Yeah.
So we're excited to see that coming. And then on to the next one. This one's probably the most important. Advanced reporting capabilities. This is still where form builders lack. I know there are form builders that will plot on, like a map, maybe some data, or they might, give you some graphs of some data that you have, but none of that's going to be environmental specific. You can base this, you can do baseline contouring, you can have criteria based graphs and everything. And Russell, what's your favorite thing about the reporting capabilities?
Well, the fact that it's so fast, right? I mean, you can literally still have your guys out in the field, and if they've synced all their data, you can do a groundwater contour elevation before they even leave the site. So that groundwater flow map, because you have that data, you can generate those graphics right away. Once this, within literally seconds of the lab uploading the data, you can do these data box maps, these isochemical contours. So all that stuff is done literally. I routinely demonstrate that I can do the full suite of graphics, all the data box maps, isochemical contour maps, groundwater flow maps, data tables, data graphs. I do that full suite of graphics in under 5 minutes.
Right.
So we have this ability to save your preferences. You can have unlimited number of images, and you can save your preferences on each type of image so that when you're getting new data next quarter, next month, you can just quickly generate those graphics over again with that new data on it.
Yeah, we have a what we like to call direct to report technology, where essentially you can grab your lab EDD, plug it in, or the lab themselves can drag and drop the EDD right into the SampleServe platform.
Yep.
And you can start creating these maps and graphs.
Yeah. So the time to those completed graphics is just minimal.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to go over 20 minutes, so I think we just hit it right there. I think we covered everything. Really the difference between like a form builder and SampleServe is a form builder's, that's not a complete solution. That's only going to cover about 10 to 15% of your entire process when it comes to doing this job. And Russell, do you got any like final thoughts on firms that are thinking about maybe just using a form builder app or are currently using some?
Well, I'm sure our form functionality is as good as any form builder out there. Plus, we have a bunch more capability, and you're probably paying for the form builder, and ours is actually free. So,
right. Yeah, that's probably what makes the most sense, right?
So our business model is you can do all the data collection stuff at no cost. And then you can opt into our reporting functionality. So you can do all those graphics. It's not required. You can just continue to use the data collection at no cost. It's on us to make our reporting capabilities so enticing that based on quality and price, that it's irresistible. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Especially when, firms are backlogged with their GIS staff and,
right.
So, all right, we're gonna end it there. Look, I see Nick, you commented. I feel like you're starting to stalk us now, Nick. Thanks for watching, man. Right. I'd like to, look out for our next week's masterclass. We're gonna have a special guest coming on, and also, thank you for joining us. Make sure you give us a share, like, comment, anything, and have a good one. Thanks, guys.
See you.